Whoa, got it. Did you
Hey,
hear that?
Brett. Yeah,
That's
that's funny.
nice that it lets you know.
Yeah. So, trade deadline has passed, and there's been some intriguing trades from the preseason until the very last minute of today. Um, and you from Indiana, no stranger to the game of basketball. Um, so, um, I know you're a Pacers fan. But what are your thoughts on the deadline?
Yeah. I feel like deadlines now aren't as crazy as they maybe used to be back in the day, but definitely still a bunch of trades that make an impact to teams that are gonna be in the finals or in the late stages of the playoffs this year. Um, but
What do
yeah, I mean, I
you want to start with the Dame trade from the preseason? How you think that's turned out in Milwaukee so far?
yeah, I mean, who all did they deal in that?
So
So they
it was a
got Dame
three-way
Lillard.
trade.
Yeah. Honestly, the biggest part of that, there's a couple big pieces in that one that have, I think, shown some of the teams that won that trade. I don't know what the Blazers did if they bought out Drew Holiday, but him going to the Celtics, like the Celtics, that was just what they needed to probably put them over the top this year, if not at least be there from the East. Um, Lillard with the Bucks has seemed like kind of a weird fit with Giannis. Like,
Because he didn't want to be there initially. He wanted to be Miami.
yeah, it seemed like it. Yeah,
And
and I don't
then
know him, but
well, he
also
kind of
yeah,
he kind of forced himself into a trade.
he did, and they didn't send him where he what was probably his number one pick. So now he's in cold Milwaukee, probably not having a great time. But I mean, he still is one of the best scorers to ever play the game. So it'll be interesting to see how that lineup holds up when it comes down to it in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and talking about the Bucks, they're in a little interesting um time with adding Doc Rivers when they had the second best record in the Eastern Conference. Um,
Yeah, so they had Adrian Griffin, and it almost seemed like something happened with Giannis, like, and they or the players just something was off there because that was weird.
I mean, in what universe do you just fire a coach when you're the second best team in the East? Um, I mean, I don't know if this was from history that was on. It was a really bold move because now they're on their third coach in less than 2 seasons.
Yeah,
Um, so like the, I mean, in Doc Rivers on top of that, um, I mean, you could see by his history in Philly, LA, um, where he's just, I mean, he's won a championship in Boston, but like it's been quite some time. It,
was that
it's,
with the big three, the
um,
Ray Allen and Garnett and
I believe so, yeah. Paul
Pierce
Pierce.
Celtics? Those teams in that era of basketball was the best in my opinion, like just prime time, but most competitive. It wasn't soft like it is today with how the game is called, how many points are scored, whether teams actually even try on defense. Like those were the Cavaliers, LeBron, against basically LeBron by himself against Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. And those were some of the most fun battles and matchups that I've ever watched.
Yeah, I mean, what a treat was that Lakers Celtics finals.
Yes, yeah.
I think we
See,
had
like,
those twice.
yeah, those matchups were amazing. But I mean, yeah, Doc Rivers literally went from announcing games on ESPN, announcing Bucks games at times, I'm sure, to coaching them, and that just like leads me to question how much do coaches matter in the NBA?
Mhm.
And how much are today like the superstars of the team the ones who behind the scenes seem to be influencing these decisions?
Yeah, and LeBron almost got what's his name? Spoelstra fired back in the day because he had so much
Yeah.
power. That's why they call him the GM. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's different. Like before the coach actually, I don't know, I guess that's a whole nother debate and topic, but like how much did the coach influence performance back in the day versus today where it's all star driven and all these stars are teaming up?
yeah, and another thing about the All-Star game this year, which is that's kind of funny, is since Missoula coached it last year, from Boston, he's not eligible to coach the East this year. So the runner-up was the Bucks, and Doc Rivers is coaching the All-Star game for the East by default, which is
That's
like
yeah, it's like really who would have
he
thought
played
he would
five
be
games.
coaching nonetheless, coaching an all-star game.
I mean, it seems a little bizarre, but yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like the
No, with
um
that, yeah, that trade, the great I wanted to call out Grayson Allen too. I think he's leading the league in 3-point percent and it's just
oh yeah, I was gonna
great
say that.
great piece for the Suns.
Yeah, he helped the Suns pick up some slack there.
Yeah.
Um
Who did Nurkic go to? Nurkic is
Phoenix.
he's on Phoenix. See, like though that's the type of player that I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Phoenix and Denver in the West Finals, and Nurkic is someone who's going to go throw his body at Jokic and piss him off.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Great game.
for the
I think the Suns won that trade.
yeah, and then the Bucks, you can see their absence of Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and they won a title with that group. Like
I mean,
you
Giannis can't do it all.
trade Holiday for Lillard. So what do? You add what 10 points of scoring, but subtract 3, 4, 5 points of defense. Like
That's quite substantial. Um, yeah, and then the good old um, uh, one of the most talked about trades of the offseason was um, James Harden to the Clippers. Um, yeah, Tucker, Felipe, Morris, most of those guys weren't even on the well, Clippers gave
Covington.
up,
The main piece of that was probably what Covington. That was just
and Batum's retiring.
Harden. Harden just wanted out, and the Sixers wanted nothing to do with him. And Harden's always wanted to be in LA. It seems like he grew up there. He went to Arizona State, right?
Yeah, yep,
So not far, but like I'm pretty sure he's from LA. So he always
yeah.
wanted to get back there. And there was the thing in the off season then when like him and Daryl Morey, he like went to China and called out Daryl Morey in China, and so Morey clearly traded him for peanuts, and all those guys are on different teams now.
Yeah, and it also really shows that you know how like Dame wanted out, like Harden wanted out just because Philly and other teams couldn't do anything right. Um, from the organization, from the top
Yeah,
four players not staying healthy.
Dame tried to stick it out in Portland. Like respect him grinding that long for that long in Portland, trying to be the guy that plays his career in one city. But
But
at
Yeah,
some
but
point you want to win championships, and the NBA is about the powerhouses.
yeah, and that's the same thing that Harden was doing. Is he was waiting on Irving and KD, who couldn't stay healthy either, and there's always something why Kyrie couldn't play. Um,
Yeah, he
so it's
just
no
came back for
different.
the Mavs. He's looking Mavs like overall taking a step back, like looking at the NBA this year. It's probably one of the more fun and evenly distributed as far as how like the teams and who has a chance to win it all. Like there's probably a good 6 to 8 teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they won the championship. And in years past, it's like there's probably 1, 2, maybe 2 to 4 teams, I guess,
Yeah,
that you think are gonna win it. So, like, it isn't where we had a spell there where I felt like you kinda knew each year who was gonna be there at the end, and it just wasn't that fun. Whereas now you have like Denver and Phoenix and the Clippers,
yeah,
like the Timberwolves, the Thunder, and to talk about some of the new and exciting, like fun teams, like what
and
the
I think
Thunder are second or third. It's crazy.
yeah, they're above their years. They're really fast tracked that. Um, but another thing I think is with the playoff format. So it used to be a 2-3-2. Now it's 2-3-1-1-1. Um, or 2-2-1-1-1. Like,
Yeah, they go
um,
2-2, and so it almost seems like it always gets back to basically a 3-game series
but it
because
used to be the home team
two,
got the
three, two.
last two.
Yeah,
Um, but now it's 1-1.
so 2-2-1-1-1.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes it. I don't know.
it's
It's
just a lot
pretty
more
cool.
travel now.
Yeah, yeah, there's an extra day in between games, but also each game feels a little bit more heightened because you know you're going on the road that next game versus the team that had 2 in a row at home maybe kinda had some a buffer for that second home game.
Yeah, and also, um, I think another reason why basketball has been doing um, the you've been seeing a lot of the better teams actually winning is because of having the best of seven from the first round. And baseball been playing around with that, and which is okay experiment, but you can if you want the best teams to win, have a full series.
Yeah.
Um, and let's see what else. And there's a lot of mid-season trades like with Siakam, Bruce Brown, or that no, that's a free agency, but there was a
Yeah.
um, but there's just quite a bit of um,
Yeah. No, I'd love to talk about some of the Pacers moves. It's been interesting.
and Daniel House is free agent now because the Pistons or waived him or let's see what. So
What a great way to spell Daniel. Danuel. Did you
yeah,
see that?
yeah.
Danuel. Danuel House.
So
Did you say my name?
he got traded, and then the Pistons basically um, are are allowed him to get bought out. So um, so even though the deadline's over, he's going to be a free agent, kind of like how Russ became a Clipper with after being traded to the Jazz.
Yeah. I mean, there was some interesting deals today, like on the final day. Um,
Oh yeah, the Kelly to um, Bradley, Oga.
You know what was interesting was PJ Washington for Grant Williams and Seth Curry in a first.
That was quite a
Grant,
haul.
Grant Williams just signed with Dallas. They must not have liked him very much there, but PJ Washington, he's actually somewhat highly regarded. I feel like he's just always hurt. The Nets got Dennis Schroeder. Raptors got Spencer Dinwiddie. I didn't see that. The Knicks, okay. Talked a little bit about the West and how many teams can be competitive there. The Knicks
Yeah,
and the might be like a top four team. Getting
yeah,
Bogdanovich, Anunoby. Anunoby was probably the biggest trade of the year so far
yeah,
outside
and
of
he's gonna be out 3 weeks with Randall,
Randall's hurt.
and OG now is out for 3 weeks.
I mean, let's think about this. What do we think was the biggest trade of the deadline? Not the offseason, the deadline. And when I say deadline, I guess include Siakam in that too, because it was close enough. Like over the last month, I guess.
Yeah. Um, it was probably the OG or Siakam.
Yeah. I think maybe more so OG because he's younger and he's probably going to be like still has more room to be more of a star.
Yeah,
Siakam, I can't believe the Pacers only had to give up Bruce Brown and who else? What was it? Just a bunch of picks?
some first rounds, I think.
That's fine. Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, another. So if we're talking about today, another big one was Thunder getting Gordon Hayward.
I was hoping that the Pacers would get him. Um, he grew up just probably like 20 minutes northwest of Indianapolis.
Yeah,
And he went to school at Butler and was, I mean, gosh, for for a guy like that, like he turned into he was a superstar at one point. He got a max deal at one point, and he's still
yeah,
good. He's still good when he plays. Like if the Thunder make a playoff run, he will play and contribute at some point.
yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how um the post All-Star break is gonna be. Um, yeah, it's gonna be the last 30 games or so. It's gonna be um um gonna create some good races down the stretch.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be like when you're watching the last teams who are playing the last 10, 15 games of their season, you'll notice I bet you'll see the scoring go down a significant amount because teams will try and play defense and like they're trying as hard as they can to win, as opposed to right now they're trying to balance energy with games they think they need to win. So that'll be, I mean, it just turns into like a playoff atmosphere once it comes down to, fighting for seeding and fighting for a playoff spot.
And to add on about the um like motivation to play at a high level throughout the season. I know the in-season tournament had a lot of critics, um, and it's still new. Um, but you definitely saw teams trying, like the Pacers, that made it. Um, you saw like they're like even the Hallie was saying that they've never been in a playoff atmosphere yet.
Yeah.
Um, and
I Yep.
and most importantly for the fans of those like Wizards or the Spurs that if they could pull off one, it gives them a reason to be excited or to see them playing against the top competition. Um, and then on top of that is for awards now the 65 game minimum to um, be eligible for those major awards. Um, um,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Guys can't load manage if they want to win an MVP or a defensive player of the year or whatever it is.
Yeah,
That,
it's
here's something I'm curious to ask you about that heard the other day. I think it was just like highlights. It was maybe last night's Clippers game, and they were just talking about. I think it was Scott Van Pelt talking about Kawhi and how he's actually playing this year. Like, do you feel like as a Clippers fan, do you see him more locked in and like more committed to playing right now? And it could just be a result of him being healthy finally, but like, do you see this difference in him right now? Because it seems like if he stays healthy, they can ride him as far as the finals.
he goes, yeah. So yeah, good question. And so as a Clippers fan, um, Kawhi, I mean, he's definitely more engaged, more involved, and he's out there almost every game. But at the same time, he's actually healthy, and it really pisses him off when he why Embiid is getting um like all the love for um or people are feeling bad for Embiid when Kawhi tore his ACL meniscus and they're saying he load managed. Um, I mean, granted, if you want to, in what you're seeing in Kawhi right now is not his ceiling. He still has a lot more. He was more crazy in playoff mode.
What's his
Um,
stats right now? You were asking me the other day if you think he could, if I thought he could be MVP, and I was like, that sounded crazy. But then I saw it again, and it was like, you know what? He's averaging 24, 6, 3.7, shooting 53% from field goal and 45 from three. Pretty damn good.
yeah, and he's a big reason that when the Clippers lost 30, Clippers were 25-5.
He's averaged pretty much that same exact stat line his almost his whole career, except he's raised his 3 point percentage, his shooting percentages over the years.
And he's picking up his defense.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he's always been one of the best defenders. Like he was the LeBron stopper, and when the
yeah,
Spurs got a couple championships, like oh man, my when he was coming out of college, my dad knew all about him and wanted him so bad.
mhm,
And the Pacers drafted him and traded him for George Hill.
yeah.
But
Um,
yeah,
but on top of that, like it just shows that um, like people always question about Harden, oh, not playing defense, but if you watch Clipper games, like he's good at poking the ball, giving effort. So it really shows how bad the situation was in Philly. Um,
yeah. I mean, it seems like, and that's probably a bit of a testament to Tyronn Lue, right? As a coach, like it seems like he has these guys fighting and are motivated, like actually believing, which they should, that they can win it all this year because they have the team if everyone is committed and healthy. They've had this roster before, pretty much, and it's not worked out because just things didn't, fall into place.
yeah, on top of that, like granted, if they are to win a championship, but if they were to, it really shows that yeah, like what you're saying about Ty Lue about how un as much as you would think a championship with the star trios happen, it doesn't. The Durant with the Suns hasn't happened yet. In Brooklyn, it hasn't happened. It just shows that um, there's a lot more, and a lot of that
Yeah.
is players playing.
Look
uh,
how what's cool. Look how Denver just won a championship last year. They drafted Jokic years back in the second round, who's the best player in the NBA. They drafted Michael Porter, who was hurt for his first 2-3 years, who's now an awesome player. They they drafted Jamal Murray, I'm pretty sure. I don't believe he was traded or anything to them, but like all their core guys, and they put pieces around them, like Aaron Gordon, great ad, but they built that it organically.
Yeah,
Um,
since we're running out of time on this meeting, um, so something I wanted to ask you, um, do you think Wemby is the front runner for Rookie of the Year?
Wemby versus isn't this considered Chet's rookie year
Yeah.
technically? I want to see their stats. I thought Wemby was, but I'm curious about the numbers because stat wise, Chet is almost.
Well, Chet's playing like a veteran.
But this is his rookie year,
No, he's playing like a veteran as a rookie, which
right? That's what I'm
is
saying. Like it's a. Here we go. Can I just see their stats? I will. Do you? I want to see their stats side by
yeah.
side.
Yeah, let me Chet and all right, here. It's on my screen.
Oh, cool. Oh, damn. When's the date on this? This is recent.
Um,
This is up to date.
it should be. It sounds about right.
Okay. It just went blurry on my. I can't really see it on your screen. Can you zoom in there again?
Yeah.
There we go. Wemby, 20 and 10 and 3. See, Wemby 3 blocks a game. I think that's leading the league. That's insane. Chet's honestly not far behind though. Um, I think it's got to.
But look at
Looking at
that plus minus for Chet.
yeah, but look at the teams they're playing on. OKC is what, second or third in the conference? Like they're
Yeah.
winning games. Wemby's playing all these minutes and blowouts, which also like speaks to the
But also,
comparison.
but it also shows that um like OKC wouldn't be a top four seed without Chet.
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
They'd be
Um,
like
you
outside looking
know,
in.
it's interesting because like you think of the NFL, MVP is often a quarterback of one of the best teams or one of the teams that are going to be in the Super Bowl. And if you were to apply that to like this case, then it's Chet far and away because the Thunder are good in large part because him. But NBA is different when people nitpick the numbers and look at all that. Honestly, just if I was voting, I would want to vote for Chet because the Thunder are a top 4 Western Conference team, and he's probably their second best player behind SGA, who's having just a ridiculous season.
Um,
I bet you wish the
so
Clippers had SGA still.
yeah, but we wouldn't have got Paul George or Kawhi without that. Um,
True.
so this is the rising stars that are going to be in Indy.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Mathurin holding it down for the sophomores. Do you see what Brandon Miller's been doing? He's had like 4 straight 30-point games.
Yeah, he's been going at it.
Who
Um,
else is who was at the top there? Jabari Smith. I haven't heard much about him. I was pretty excited about him coming out, and I don't know. Keegan Murray isn't. He's a superstar already. Not already, but he will be.
yeah. Um,
There's some fun players in there.
yeah, it's yeah. And then Jaylen Brown is the first All Star since the 2017 who's also doing the dunk contest.
And even the fact that I don't even, Jaylen Brown, like what? He's not known for dunking. Like, I don't, dunk contest is such a joke
These t
for the last decade. I used to watch, who was in the dunk contest? Oh, man.
I
Fred
remember
Jones.
Aaron Gordon. Yeah,
Do you remember a guy named Fred Jones for the Pacers? Probably not. He went to Oregon and he was like a ninth or 10th man, but he was known for dunking.
so it
Yeah.
looks like we have a couple minutes left on this Zoom call. Um, so what are your predictions for who do you think? What's your finals prediction?
For the NBA?
Yeah,
Um, maybe break it down into like the final four. So
or
like,
conference finals.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Philly's out. It's got to be Boston. It's going to be between Boston, Milwaukee, and then maybe like a Miami or New York or Pacers could sneak in there. It's probably
I
going to
think
be Boston.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavs make a sneaky run.
I forgot about them. Yeah. Honestly, the Cavs and the Knicks have rosters that seem like they could surprise some people. I don't think the Pacers are quite there. We score too much and don't defend enough. They're exciting, but not
Just
they're
not
not
consistent
there.
enough.
They're not
Um,
there. And in the same breath, like who knows that the Cavs are there, but at least I don't know. Maybe Pacers and Cavs are on similar levels. Um, Knicks made a little run last year, so like, and they've only gotten much much better. So they wouldn't surprise me. I'd probably put it as Boston, Milwaukee, Knicks as the favorites in the East.
it says
Uh,
I have less than a minute on here, so I can always start it up. But I think the West is going to be wild. Like, it's going to come down to experience or not, if that's
yeah,
gonna. But
Clippers, Suns, Nuggets, Nuggets favorites. Clippers, Suns. Who else is out there? I mean, Lakers. Who knows?
it's
Warriors are.
pretty. But yeah, but yeah, hopefully we can talk about it more. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, it's great chatting. That was fun. Um, I'll be back.
All right, take it easy.
See ya.
See you. Bye.